what you ultimately want is a catalog of high quality content. And even if you put content out and it doesn't do very well, still continue putting content out and don't delete those posts. Those of you who you posted something this morning and because it had 5 likes, you're about to go and delete it now. Why?
Today, everybody is a content creator. Your friend will just buy a tripod, a camera, or a good iPhone, and boom, you hear, "Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel." From TikTok to IG to YouTube, Nigeria is buzzing with creatives. In fact, today's Nigeria, content creation isn't about fun or fame anymore. It is serious business. Young Nigerians like you and I are building entire brands from the comfort of their bedrooms. They are making dollars from dancing videos, educating, influencing, marketing, storytelling, everything, and they are cashing out big time. But getting into it, that's a different ball game. Content creation looks easy until it becomes your full-time job. From navigating algorithm to pricing your work to finding your niche, you guys, to even staying consistent. There's a lot people don't tell you. But today on the Novice Podcast, we'll be looking into content creation, guys, how to find your voice and your audience right here in Nigeria. And to guide us is one of the most thoughtful voices in Nigeria's content space. He is a content creator, a digital storyteller, and a motivational force. A man behind some of the most authentic videos you find online. Please welcome the king of intentional content, Salem King.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, it's a pleasure to have you on my show. In fact, see, I'm so happy. We'll take one picture after and I'll post that, yay, he's here.
Of course.
So, Salem, this is a very interesting conversation and I really want to learn. I want you to also educate my audience about content creation.
Yeah.
People just claim, in fact, everybody in Nigeria is a content creator. I have a friend, she has a backdrop, she has mics, she has lights. She literally has everything that's the setup generally. Yeah. Does that make her a content creator? So who exactly is a content creator?
First of all, I don't think it matters what you call yourself. The modern creation space is one where there's no gatekeeper. There's no barrier to entry. So literally anybody can wake up and call themselves that. You know, in other areas, you can't say I'm an engineer. You need to have a certification. You can't say I'm a doctor. You need to have gone to medical school. You can't say I'm a lawyer. But with content creation, because it's so simple, ultimately what it is production and distribution of content. So it could be written, audio, visual, any kind of content. If you're producing content and you're distributing it, you are a creator of some sort.
Wow.
So 30, 40 years ago, that's something that not anybody could do unless you were working with like a TV station, you know, or a radio station, or you were a filmmaker, or you're a journalist. You know, those were the only people who were creating. But that has been democratized now. Almost anybody can create stuff. I can write something now, tweet it, and I have just created. Wow. You know, so of course that makes some people mad that, oh, why is it so simple? Why is it that anybody can just, you know, come and say I am this? But I think it creates an opportunity for people who have substance to stand out, because it's so much loudness. Everybody's all over the place.
Wow.
There's a lot of unsavory content out there. So if you actually have some substance, some depth, and a willingness to actually pass value on to your audience, it's a great opportunity to stand out.
Wow. So speaking of yourself, you're a content creator, because when I was introducing you earlier, I said you're a content creator, you're a digital storyteller. In fact, I just, they hail you, do you know? So what will you say, how did you start out? Was it just a one video and like Raya did and boom, she went viral, or you were just consistently posting? How did you start out?
I never really had one video that blew up and then my career started. I mean, I know that happens for a lot of people, but that just wasn't my journey. I started making videos sometime in 2018. I wasn't very consistent, but I decided toward the end of the year that, you know, when January comes, that was going to be January 2019, I'm going to make a video every day for 30 days. And that's how it started. When I first started, I had like 1,500 followers ish, and I told myself if I can go from 1,500 to like 2K in that 30-day period,
Wow.
that would be massive. I'd feel blown. And my following tripled in that 30-day period, went from 1,500 to over 5,000 in that 30-day period. And so that just shifted things for me. It shifted my perspective because I felt, oh, wow. So this thing I'm saying, people actually find it valuable. I wasn't trying to be a content creator. I didn't know what a content creator was. I just knew that I wanted to teach. I had a passion, and I thought I'm only going to be able to teach when I'm older, when I have 10 years of experience. But in the meantime, let me just do it on social media. Nobody's watching anyway.
So your parents are not like, oh, would you just leave this content creation buhaha and focus on getting a job and things like that?
I had a job, actually.
Okay.
I had a job. Content was the thing I did on the side as an escape from work. So on the weekends, in the nights, that 30-day period, I was making content and I was posting at 12 midnight every day because I'd go to work, I'd come back and then write scripts, make a video, edit. Before I'd finish, it was already 12 midnight. So that was the only time I had to post. And then I'd sleep and do it the next day again.
Wow.
So I had a job. It took a while before I got to a point where I was getting paid enough from content to pursue it as my full-time job, but at the time I had a job.
Because, people say that, content creation is one of the ways in which a fast way to fame, to money. Is that true, or is just big cap? Because back then in 2020, COVID, when TikTok came and all of that, people were not even sabi dance. You see them dancing, don't rush, and flip the switch and all those trends. And they were really doing well. And to be very honest, they were having followers and growth. So would you say that, back then was a very good way to kickstart your content career?
That's a good question. But the reality is, a lot of people that we laughed at in 2020 for dancing, their lives have changed. They make money. They make more money than all of us.
I wish I did that.
Yeah. So there's a way to look at it and be like, oh, why is this person doing that? But that's how we see everybody who has gone ahead to do something really great and out of this world. Initially, it's like very confusing, and everybody's not sure why you going that way.
Why are you following the trend?
Exactly. But I think for everyone, like if you're very clear on what it is you want to achieve out of what you're pursuing, even if the thing you want to achieve is to have some fun, I think it's worth pursuing. To just go for it, because you never know what will come out of it. You never know how it will end up. For me, my passion was teaching. I knew I was going to teach, whether content or not. But I didn't know that as a result of teaching using social media, I could build a career as a content creator. The first time a brand sent me an email and asked me, how much do you charge for this? I was so surprised, because I'm just like, what? Charge? This thing I'm doing for free, I can do it for money, know?
Yeah.
The first time people from my audience started saying, Salem, hold a class because we want to learn from you how you do this and how you do that. It was shocking for me. Like, I didn't understand. The first time I was on the phone with a member of someone in my audience who asked to jump on a call to ask some questions, and I finished talking to her and she said, oh, how much would that cost? I was surprised. I didn't know that all these things that came naturally to me to an extent were things that in the real world were valuable and people were willing to exchange for money. But you never know if you don't try.
Yeah. That's like, this is your story. I'm really tapping into it. So yeah, people are not like Salem King. People are not like Kiki. People are not like Sabinos. They're not like crackhead extra that shouts in the market that, have to be loud and extra. How can people that are, introverted and just calm, but they know what they want. They have content that they are willing to share. Like you said, teaching. I don't think teaching has to be so dramatic, So how can people that are introverted, that are not really loud, work out in this content space?
I'm not loud. I'm introverted, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm sure like everybody can tell by now. So on Instagram, I look like this very larger than life person who's like out there, but I'm introverted. Like if you see me on the streets, I can't really look you in the eye and say hi. I'll just look for a way to escape and all. But what that has allowed me to do, because I'm introverted, I am introspective. So when I'm in a room, I'm normally not speaking. It allows me to observe a lot. And the amount of things I'm able to observe because I am not talking, it informs the kind of storyteller I am. Because I have perspectives that people don't normally catch.
Okay.
I'm always getting content ideas from the most random things happening around me.
Give us one now. Just tell us how you created one very,
Yeah. I do it all the time. So recently I made a video talking about how when you see a child who's with an oily face, they are loved at home. Because when we were growing up, all our parents used to put a lot of Vaseline on our face, and you didn't like it when they were doing it. But I saw a child and I just thought, wow, she's so loved at home because she's moisturized.
True.
Or I made content about estate drama and how like everywhere in Nigeria, there's different characters in an estate. All of that was stuff I was observing from my real life. Yeah. And sometimes I'd find ways to connect that to important messages that I'm trying to pass across. I've never seen it as, because I'm introverted, then I have a handicap, or I have a disadvantage. Of course, there's times when I don't want to go out. I like being in my house. So that part is tough because you have to go to events, you have to meet people, all of that. That part is tough for me. But I think just being an introvert who's introspective allows me to be the kind of storyteller that I am. And if you research, a lot of your favorite performers are introverted. Like they just become another person when they're on stage, or when they hear action, or when they're alone in their room with their phone making a video. So I don't think people should feel like they need to be loud.
Kind of way.
Yeah, and Maraji is very introverted, but look at the content she makes. You will laugh and roll on the ground.
Yeah, true.
But she's reserved, and I've met so many people like that. When you meet them in person, you realize they're not the way it is on social media, but they make it work.
Yeah.
Also because they have, even though you're introverted, you normally have a very loud mind, and content allows you to express that. It allows all the crazy things going on in your mind to somehow live in the world, because you don't express them in social situations because you're like fly on the wall. I don't draw attention to myself. But those things marinate. And then when you're alone trying to write a script, when you're alone in front of a camera, when you're alone, creating a dance routine, all of that just comes out and comes out really beautifully.
I'm still back on this TikTok buhaha that blew out in 2020. Mm-hmm. People still say to today that if you did not join, now they do 9 to 5 now. No offense, I'm also doing 9 to 5, So, but how do you say that? How do you, because you said earlier that you were still working before you now transitioned fully into content creation. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's bad for people to, go into the content creation space while still working,
For sure. I think you just need to figure out a way that works for you.
Okay.
I always encourage people to batch create. So don't, every time you feel a huge burst of inspiration, don't make only one video. Do you get what I'm saying? So record several episodes.
As much as you can.
I'm sure even on this podcast, you guys have to record multiple sometimes,
Most times.
Exactly.
This week now, my producer is you have back to back. I'm guy.
But you put them out over a period of time. But you have to create in batches. So for people who have a job or something that you cannot leave, but you want to show up, you want to make content, you need to plan it out. You cannot be random, because the people you're competing against, some of them, that's their full-time job. And me, for example, I'm not going to let somebody that came from nowhere put me out of a job.
Yeah.
So you need to know that the competition is steep. But I think I need to say it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. So you need to love creating. You need to love telling stories. If you don't, I think you should just give up already, because it can be hard. Some people don't make any money in their first 6 months. Some people don't make any money in their first 1 year.
Yeah.
And even when you start to make money, even at the level that I am, it's not assured every month, So you could have like a really good month this month, and then you could have a bad 2 months, and then a good 3 months, and they have like 4 months where nothing comes in, zero, So it's ups and downs. So if there are things in your life that you still have that are going well for you, like a job, don't just quit and say, I'm jumping into this thing. Make sure you've got into a healthy place first. It's not that there is money in the industry. However, you need to prove yourself over a period of time. It's not like
we'll get into the money part. You give us some teas. So what you're trying to say now is basically keep showing up, keep posting, create time to post. But you guys, how many of you have actually created a decent content, and you're so happy that after this content you have views, only for you to check after 7 hours and you see just 3 likes? The funny thing, 1 out of the 3 likes and comments is your brother saying, "Oh, hi, brother Silas, thank you." Or, "Hi, sister Tolu, good job." I mean, how can I... It's not encouraging, to be very honest, after taking my time to do that. And I felt so very confident that, this video is going to do well. And boom, algorithm is throwing you back boosts and all. What are some of the things that we need to know? Even as a content creator, it's not just about you liking it. It's not just about you doing it for fun or doing it because you love doing it. What are some of the technical yet important things, we should know why posting and why creating this content?
That's a very loaded question. What with the thing where you post a video and it doesn't go well and you get discouraged.
Oh my God.
I think we overestimate the power of one video and underestimate what long-term consistency can do for you as a person, even for your account. So what we end up doing is, rather than thinking this is a long game, I want to be consistent for 3 months, for 6 months, for 1 year, and see what happens in that period. We're thinking, I've come up with this amazing content idea and this is the idea that's going to catapult me. But it's never like that. Like, one idea is not enough. One video is not... Even if one video has 5 million views, it's not enough. Because...
Really?
Yes.
One of my videos had like 12 views. I was like, yay, I'm doing this.
So even if it has 5 million views, it's not enough, because all those people a percentage of the people who watch that video with 5 million views will tap on your profile to see more like what they've just watched.
Okay.
And if there's nothing there, you lose them forever. So if you get 5 million views, you want it to be after you've made 100 videos. But people want it to be on the first video. But that takes you nowhere. That does nothing for you on the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So what you ultimately want is a catalog of high quality content. And even if you put content out and it doesn't do very well, still continue putting content out. And don't delete those posts. Where's my camera? Yes. Don't delete those posts. Those of you who you posted something this morning and because it had 5 likes, you're about to go and delete it now. Why? The important thing about leaving those posts up is, one day somebody who has been looking for someone like you on the internet but hasn't found will find your page and they're going to want to see more. You need to have enough there for them to binge, for them to sit down while they're on the toilets for 30 minutes, for 1 hour just on your page. Because that's how you build community. That's how you get a fan for life. So that's how we need to be thinking about it as creators, that this isn't a one-time thing. This isn't, I'm not just trying to blow. I'm building something.
Yeah.
And you need to do that over a period of time. Now, the reward can be that your account grows, but that may not happen immediately. What will you use to hold body in the meantime?
I'm getting there,
It's the fact that you're becoming a better storyteller.
Okay.
Right? I always talk about how your first video might be crap. You may continue making, even your 10th video might be crap. But one day, you compare the first video to your 100th video. It's a night and day difference. You didn't know when the change was happening.
Sure.
You didn't notice at any point that, I've gotten better. Nah. it was slowly as you kept showing up. So at the point where you have 100 videos, you're a better storyteller, you're a better editor. You know how to structure an idea, you know how to communicate better. There's so many things you're better at just by staying the path for that period of time. So you're proving a point to yourself, even though you've not gotten to the point where you're proving that point to the rest of the world with your numbers growing. You're proving a point to yourself that you can stick to something for an extended period of time. And everything you learn from that process, a lot of times is transferable to something else. You know, it could be, sometimes you get an opportunity and realize you are way more prepared than you thought you were, just as a result of staying the path.
So before we go on a quick commercial break,
Yeah.
I want us to talk a little bit about the money part of, content creation. We've talked about staying consistently. We've talked about, finding your niche. You don't need to be, always loud. You can be an introvert and still create content.
Yeah.
So how do you, what are the ways you can make revenue from this content creation aspect? And, what is the whole big deal with brands endorsements, with influencers, with affiliated marketing? I'm confused. I don't even know about my audience, but me, myself, I'm confused trying to build something. So can you just break it down a little bit for us?
Yeah, of course. So there are many ways. I don't even know all the ways that content creators are making money, but I'll share some with you.
Okay.
One is getting paid directly from the platforms. I know Facebook and YouTube, has direct monetization where they place ads on your videos and you can get paid from that directly. TikTok has a creator fund program. It's not in Nigeria yet, but for creators in other parts of the world, some other parts of the world, you can get paid directly.
Wow.
You can get paid directly on TikTok. That's one. Two, affiliate marketing. What affiliate marketing ultimately is you directing traffic to a certain website where people can buy from and you getting a percentage of that sale. That's all it is.
Wow.
Right? So if you're someone who's making fashion content and you wear a dress and people really love that dress, instead of saying, oh, here's where to go and buy it, you tell them, here's where to go and buy it, here's a link. So everybody who buys from that link because of your video, you might get 5%, right?
Okay.
So if a certain number of people buy that dress, if the brand makes 1,000 naira from that dress, immediately you have 50 naira.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Do you get? So multiply that by millions.
Wow.
So that's ultimately what affiliate links are. So for YouTubers, there's so many ways they use this. Sometimes they have links of the music they use, the links to the t-shirt they're wearing, the links to like color grading, the links to certain apps, stuff like that. Yeah, anything. Depending on your niche, you would know what to attach. Travel creators, for example, will attach a way for you to get discounts on flights or a hotel, stuff like that, or tours. Another way creators make money is digital products. This is such a huge industry because a lot of times for some creators, you don't need to have a large following. You just need whatever you're making to be very valuable, and you can promote it and reach a larger audience with paid ads. It just needs to be something people need.
Yeah.
People create Canva templates. It can be an ebook about a subject people want to learn about, Like even you guys, I'm giving you free game now. You can take,
please give us the game.
I'm saying you can take everything from this episode and make it into an ebook.
True.
Right?
Wow.
And sell it for what? $1, $2, $5. You can even make a compilation of all your episodes, different nuggets from different guests, based on topics, based on niches, based on all of that. Make an ebook about how to do business in Nigeria. Make an ebook and just attach it in the links to in the description of all your YouTube videos. And not everybody will buy, but there'll be a small part of the audience that'll buy, and it's just passive income. Yeah. You create the product once, you sell it uncountable times. I have an ebook that I've sold more than 4,000 copies of since I made it once.
Wow.
Same thing with online courses. I think that falls into digital products too. If there's anything better than the average person, I promise you there's somebody who will pay you to learn about it.
Wow.
Right? You just need to find them. So I've done courses, I've done classes. 2020, funny story. In that 2020 when everybody was home and everybody was trying to be a content creator, I had spent 2019 preparing to teach people how to get into content creation. I didn't know pandemic was going to happen. But everybody was home and I started taking classes and I trained more than 3,000 people in 2020. Right? Like, number of people that went through my classes to learn about content creation in only 2020. So it was a terrible year for everybody for different reasons. Even for me, it was terrible. But I made more money as at then than I'd ever made in my life.
Wow.
From just teaching.
What was I doing, man?
Yeah. So I'd be lying if I said I made any sort of plans. I was just perfectly positioned, and lucky to have that. Another way creators make money is brand partnerships. And now this shows up in different ways, but ultimately what a brand partnership is brands want to market their products or services or events to an audience, and there's a creator that has access to that audience. So they pay the creator and the creator promotes that to the audience in their own style. So, of course, the brands will give you direction and tell you, this is what we're trying to say. This is the brief. These are our objectives. This is what we're trying to achieve with this. However, you will also bring your own flair to it. So it's not, you still have a level of creative freedom to bring your own style to it. Brands, do you guys have a sponsor on this show?
Not yet, but please, and I'll tell them that we need sponsors.
Yeah, so
tell them.
Yeah. So that's one way that brand partnerships show, for example, people trying to reach your audience and then giving you money to be able to, because production is expensive, for you to be able to run all of this, and them saying, oh, but the tea you have to drink has to be this brand. Yeah. The biscuits you eat on the show, or we need,
or the hair you wear.
Yeah, or the logo somewhere in the back, stuff like that. So in this case, it would be for the company, but there are creators that have that on different levels. For some, it's come travel to this place, but you say your flight was booked by so and so and so, So brand partnerships, the possibilities are endless there. Even with your events, it doesn't even have to be on social media. Like if you have an event, you can partner with those brands who want to partner with you. Creators can make money from speaking opportunities and consulting, because as a creator, you're uniquely placed in a way that you have real world experience of the digital space that the average person doesn't. And I'll explain. So with my social media, for example, I have the opportunity to do free research. I have 197,000 followers on Instagram. So whatever question I ask, hundreds of people respond happily, gladly, right? So if I want to do any form of research, there's insight I have as a result of the audience I have that the average person doesn't have. You have to go into the street and do survey to get what I will get in 5 minutes. So that puts me in a great position that if a brand wanted to know about creators in Nigeria, for example, I'm the guy you want to talk to. If they want to talk about how to create a product that's going to reach creators, creative people in Nigeria, you need to look for me. Right, because of that insight I have, because of, I told you about what I did in 2020. It wasn't because I planned for it. It was just the positioning, because I genuinely cared about creators. Yeah. So in 2020, when everybody was trying to become a creator, I'm like, this is my opportunity to show them how to do it right. That it's not just about dancing. Yeah. And if you don't want to dance, you don't need to dance. There's more than one way to express, yourself in this thing. There's more than one way to be profitable in this thing. And I took that position of thought leadership for creators who were coming into the industry at that time. What I would say is, for every creator who wants to make money, actually go online and check, like, how are creators making money, because the possibilities are endless, the avenues. Every day I hear about something new. Every day I hear about someone who is selling their creative catalog. I've heard about YouTube channels being acquired.
Wow.
That was not a thing 5-10 years ago. It was outrageous. But now it's happening and creators are making serious money. So I think anybody who's interested in the industry should wake up every day and be checking what's happening, how are people profiting.
Stay updated. So we'll go on a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back to this conversation. Welcome back to the Novice Podcast, and I'm still with the king of content creation. So, Salem, people get tired and they ghost. So I know people that ghosted. They blew up, they were trending, and after a while they ghosted for like 6 months and they're trying to come back. What is your advice to people like that?
I think it's normal for anyone pursuing any creative profession to burn out at some point, but it teaches us about ourselves. Burnout is something we should listen to because it's your body telling you, I cannot continue.
Yeah.
So you need to observe what were the things that got me to that point. Do I even love this thing I'm doing? Or do I love it, but there's a certain aspect I don't want to spend as much time on because it stresses me out? Can I outsource that part? Can I delegate? Can I afford to hire someone? If I can't afford to hire someone, can I afford to partner with someone that will handle that part of my business and what I'm trying to build? So ultimately, burnout teaches us about ourselves if we're listening close enough so that next time you know how to avoid it or know how to navigate it better, right? All of us have been there before. Me, I've been there, but I've learned. So for example, every year now, I take January off, non-negotiable. I will not do any brand deal.
After your ombele in December.
I've never done ombele in December, but I take January off every year. And I just go away. No brand deal, no speaking engagements. I'm just at home, or I travel sometimes, or I'm just at home with my family. I'm chilling. I'm not doing any work. I'm not doing anything. I'm not even trying to write. I'm not doing anything.
That's good.
And it's just my way of refueling, because everybody who works a 9 to 5, for example, he goes on leave at some point in the year. But creative people just go on and on and on and on and on. Because I work weekends, most Saturdays I'm speaking at an event. This Sunday I have a meeting in the afternoon. Sometimes my life is just like that. And before you wake up one day, you realize you're working every day, even public holiday. I don't even know when it's public holiday. It's my friends who have 9 to 5. They're like, oh, let's hang out on Monday. I'm like, you're not going to the office. And they're like, which office? there's Eid. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. So you just find out you're working so hard because when you quit your 9 to 5 so that you can have more time, what ends up happening is you now work 24/7. So you just need to give yourself a break. And I think it surprises people what the demands are of being out there on social media. People feel entitled to your time. People feel entitled to your attention. If you don't reply a DM, somebody will speak to you as if they know you from somewhere, and be very angry and mad. Yeah. That can come with pressure for some people. Little things, people will point out your flaws.
Yeah.
Why is your hair like that? What happened to your mouth? Like it's in a video where you're talking about something serious. This happened to me just yesterday, So it's like, what did you do to your eyebrows? And it's a video where I'm talking, like I'm saying something very serious.
Were you live?
No, in the comment section of a video I've posted,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a guy.
Don't worry.
I'm a guy who makes, I'm literally wearing a t-shirt in all my videos. So you can imagine what that's like for like a girl, for example, who's wearing makeup, who's wearing different colors, who's shooting in different locations. It's more things for people to be like, see your ankle, see your necklace.
Yeah.
So that can come with pressure if you haven't built thick skin to be like, screw it, I know why I'm here. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the things that can drive people to the point of burnout. So at the end of the day, you need to observe, how did I get to this point? Like, what brought me here? And what do I need to do differently to avoid it or to handle it better when it comes around again?
So we have the Novice Dip, whereby, the audience ask their questions and then you just reply to some of them.
Okay.
But before then, would you say community helps you out in this content creation? Like, can you be a one-man person? Oh, I know how to actually shoot. I know how to make up. I know how to edit my videos. I learned all of these things. Do I need to do it alone, or I should join a community whereby there are content creators that can help out or things like that?
Yes, you can do it alone, but I don't think it's the best way, because our creativity finds better expression around community when we're around other people who are like us. When I first started making content, my family didn't understand it. Not that they were not supportive. They loved me. They supported me, but they didn't understand it. It's just like, what's this thing you're doing? And all my older friends also didn't understand it. You know, I remember when I got my first iPhone, I remember a friend of mine saying like, why would you spend that kind of money on a phone? I'm just like, don't worry, I'll make the money back. But at the time, and I understand it, right? He's still my friend. He's still rooting for me. Very great guy. But at the time, it didn't make sense. Just like, why would you do that? So I needed people who were also creative people. So I had to find other friends, you know, and we would go to hike every Saturday in Abuja and we would make videos together, we'd edit, we'd take pictures, we'd send each other the pictures we took, you know, and post it. And it was always such a beautiful experience, you know. So around those people, my creativity found better expression. They didn't know me all the way back to, you know, secondary school or anything, but they knew a part of me that needed validation in that moment. So that's what community does for you. You know, we have communities for different reasons. The problem is we try to get the validation like from your family, but it may take a while. They may need to see results first, you know, to now come around and be like, oh, okay, this thing you're doing. Yeah. For me, I think when it started to shift for my parents was when I was on Channels TV talking about content creation. You know, that's like, wow. You know, he was sending the flyer to his friends. Salem is going to be on TV tomorrow. You know, catch it. You know, and I wasn't there for any of the things they knew me for. I was there talking about content creation.
Sure.
You know, so it was like, okay, my gift is making room for me, you know, in places. So it may take time, but community is important. So community will open that door for you. So don't try to go it alone is what I'd say.
Hope you guys are jotting down. So yeah, our novice zip. You have 4 questions today. I'll leave one for myself.
Okay.
So
do you want me to read the question?
No, don't worry, I'll read it for you.
Okay. I'm happy to read it though.
Okay. First guest reading.
Oh, this person's handwriting. I'm kidding. Real talk. Have you ever copied someone's content and just Nigerianized it? No. No, I haven't. But I get a lot of inspiration from other people in other niches. Yeah. I think it helps that some of my biggest inspirations are not content creators. So like they're like teachers, pastors, lawyers, musicians, and I take elements from all of them and infuse it into what I do. I try not to just lift something because I think about the work I do on a global level. So I don't want to ever just copy some American because I feel like my content will reach Americans, you know? So I think that's a bad idea. I understand it when people do it because I even get copied sometimes. So I'm just like, well, really? It's fine. Maybe that's just...
They tag you on it, sir.
No, they don't tag me. But I can just see it and I know that this person is inspired by me to dangerous levels. But yeah, I just see it as, okay, that's the stage that you're at right now. But with time, you find your own voice and it's okay.
Okay. Can I have that?
This handwriting is better. Okay. I'm kidding. It's the same person that wrote it all. If a brand offers you 100 million to sell something you don't believe in, but your rent is due, would you take it? No, I live in a 2-income household, so no. But that's not why. I wouldn't go against my values for any amount of money. It's hard to sell something you don't believe in.
Are you serious? Let's not go there. My producer
For
is
me,
really cutting eye for me.
it's hard for me to sell anything. I don't think even you guys would sell something you don't believe in.
But people do.
Yeah, that's them. The question is for me. I'm answering my own.
Okay.
Back to bad handwriting. Salem, what's one collab you regret doing till today? Don't lie. I cannot say it on camera. I cannot say it on camera, but wherever they are, I hope they know that I would never ever speak to them again.
Period. The last one.
Which is harder, convincing your Nigerian parents that you're not jobless or convincing brands to pay on time? Between the devil and the deep blue sea. But the one about parents, I'm not going to get into family wahala, but about convincing brands to pay on time, I think it's important to work with contracts. So don't get into anything if there's no contract signed that says this is when I will be paid. These are the conditions that satisfy. So that when you've satisfied all the conditions, you can tell them, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. Where's my money? So because if there's no contract, there's nothing binding anybody to any. I can do whatever I want. Go and call police,
Yeah.
But when there's a contract, it's a legally binding document. So even when you want to call them out, you have a way to say, this is what you said you would do, and you haven't done it. Do we have time for one more?
No, we don't have.
No, that's too bad.
Oh, you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
So, guys, we've come to the end of today's episode. In fact, I don't want to leave, but we have to. And don't forget, your first video might not do well. Your second still might not do well. Even the 10th might not still do well. But keep showing up and be consistent. And don't forget to listen. We've spilled a lot of things for you on how to monetize and how to make money in the content creation industry. Till another episode, I remain your host, Tolu. Bye.